Donald Trump is spiraling this morning off the news that only 13% of Americans strongly approve of his regime. Also, there was a new PCE inflation readout. It came in hotter or far worse than expected. Donald Trump has caused the United States economy to be in absolute shambles right now. People are pissed. So what does Donald Trump do? He goes on a right-wing podcast and he says, I don't even know what the word affordability means. Here, let's play this clip.
And then from the first day, they started using the word affordability. They looked at me, affordability. It was a new word. Nobody ever heard the word. It was a new word that they devised because they're quite good at that. They're not good at running a country, but they're good at, I guess, good at politics. I don't know. They have some awfully bad policy for people.
Then Donald Trump starts attacking Canada, and he says they don't have anything that we need or we want, and we need to teach Canada a lesson. He continues his attacks on Canada, our closest ally, because he's literally demonic and an idiot, and he will only cause further inflation in the United States. Play this clip.
Won't do any business. In other words, we won't trade. They don't have anything that we have to have. Okay, we can get by. I mean, there are a couple of things that would make it a little inconvenient, but we could get them elsewhere. And it's time to teach Canada you can't do this anymore. We lose $60 billion and really more than that, $60 billion a year with Canada.
As noted, inflation surging. U.S. July PCE inflation has come in hotter than expected. That's the Fed's preferred inflation metric. It hit 3.7% above expectations of 3.6%. Core PCE inflation was 3.3%, the second highest reading since October 2024. But as Heather Long, economist, says, the biggest story in the PCE data from this morning is the consumer. Consumer fatigue is starting to show up. In July, personal consumption was only 0.2%. Once you adjust for inflation, personal consumption was flat. You can see consumers straining to pay the basics, especially healthcare and utilities. Meanwhile, they are cutting back everywhere they can, especially anything home or car related. There was a modest rise in personal income, but we'll have to see if it's sustained, is what she says over there. So then what Donald Trump does next, he starts to say that, Dolly Parton, who, tragically passed away yesterday, she really liked me. She loved me. She wouldn't say it out loud, but she absolutely loved me. I mean, she didn't, but this is how he frames the story of Dolly Parton's legacy around him. He is a real sicko. Here, play this clip.
She really liked me, I will tell you, but she also wanted to stay very, she was of the opinion, the 50% who needs to lose. I don't think it's 50. I think it's probably 20% of the fans. Okay, not 50. But she was a great person, and she was just a nice person. I liked her a lot, and I thought it was a natural thing to lower the flags.
Then he continues to attack Canada even more and says, we're taking them on. We're taking them on hard. We're going to crush them. What are you doing? There's no American who wants this. Like, y'all are really just a bunch of lunatics. And Canada is united. Prime Minister Carney is very popular among the people. They're 75%, and rightfully so, because he's fighting back against your despicable regime. And all you're doing is hurting the American people. Here, play this clip.
It was terrible.
Yes.
But they have taken advantage of the United States for many decades, actually. They charge tariffs that are unbelievable, like on milk, 400%, and on like, and I just said we're taking them on, and I took them on at the beginning, but we had so many other things to do because the country was a mess. But I said we're going to take them on, we're going to stop it, and you saw the Lake Ontario. People thought I was kidding. But maybe I wasn't, because the last one you saw was the Gulf of Mexico, is Gulf of America.
I know.
So now we have a Gulf and we have a lake. Okay, it's very simple. But look, I don't want to go into great detail because it's maybe boring to people. But to me, it's not boring. They charge tariffs. They take advantage of us as though they were a state, and they're not a state. and they've taken our car industry, and they've taken our agriculture industry.
Yeah.
The farmers can't sell anything in there because the tariffs are so enormous, and yet they want to sell in us without.
Now, state regime media Fox had to report on the latest awful inflation numbers that just came in this morning. Listen to what they said.
And we can kind of talk about this, and I want to get your thoughts on what we're seeing here. And the market actually pulled back about 40 points or so, 50 points on this one. All right, so July PCE, we came in a little bit hotter than expected month to month, a gain of 0.2% month to month. The expectation was 0.1%, 3.7% year over year. This is July PCE.
That's hot.
That is a hot number, yeah. The expectation was 3.6. Core came in line at 0.2% up, and then core year over year came in line with expectations, 3.3. But we have seen a reversal in future.
And then you had California Governor Gavin Newsom address the Canadian people. Here's what he said. Play this clip.
I've enjoyed from my days as mayor of San Francisco relationships with your consul general. I've seen prime ministers come and go. I had a good relationship with the last prime minister. I've had the pleasure of being up from my early days up in Hudson Bay and out there with the beluga whales and great memories in some of the great cities in Canada. So I love your country. I love the people. I love the investment. And so for me, this is just, who I am. I'm proud of the work I've done as governor. I'm proud of the relationship we've had with your country. And I just want folks to know California is a stable partner. We do not in any way, shape, or form condone the behavior of this president as it relates to how he's treated you and just in the condescending terms. I'm disgusted by it. And I just want folks up north to know that there are a lot more Americans like me than there are like Donald Trump.
More Trump regime officials this morning attacking Canada. You have criminal Peter Navarro going on right-wing propaganda networks saying the following. Play this clip.
It starts with the fact that Canada cheats us. They cheat us on dairy. They won't let us sell our alcoholic beverages there. Lumber's a mess.
Yeah.
And we gave them a really good deal. That deal was so good that it kind of made me a little bit nervous because it was a good deal. It was a fair deal. Mm-hmm. Jameson Greer negotiated it well, but it was right up to the edge where you want to be about being as fair to your trading partner as you possibly can. And that Carney, he said, he went off on his Trump derangement thing, and here's the rule here. There's a rule here. The higher Carney goes in his polling in politics, appealing to this Trump derangement syndrome, the lower their economy is going to fall.
Senator Angus King put out the following. He's from Maine. This is the statement that he put out. He warned that a trade war with Canada could devastate many industries, particularly as it relates to Maine, the lobster industry, noting Maine lobsters could be pinched twice since much of it gets sent to Canada for processing before being re-imported to the U.S. The potential tariff double whammy is a concern that Alex Seatswald, he's a reporter in the area, that he's heard from lobstermen who tend to be pretty right-wing, along with questions about what trade disputes mean for foreign lobster demand, imported fishing gear, diesel prices, and more. Well, I'll answer it for the lobstermen in Maine, many of who I know watch this show. It's going to make the prices significantly more expensive. It's going to make the input prices significantly more expensive. It's going to cut off export markets as well, and it's going to cause, again, all of the prices to increase. And it's also going to harm tourism, which it already has, as Canada's gone elbows up and they've boycotted American goods and services, and they've boycotted hospitality and traveling to the United States. So with all of this going on, what else that's Donald Trump doing that podcast this morning. Well, guess what else you have? You have the right-wing extremist Supreme Court, Justice Clarence Thomas, sitting down on a podcast with MAGA Republican extremist Senator Ted Cruz. I mean, what the hell is even going on? I mean, that's why the name of our book is WTF America. As one person notes, a sitting Supreme Court justice doing a buddy podcast interview with a sitting senator. I guess they don't even pretend to keep the Supreme Court above the political fray and nonpartisan. But let's be clear who the they are. It's MAGA. It's Trumpism. It's these right-wing, extreme fascists. That's who it is. This isn't normal politics. This isn't the way it used to be. This is what Trumpism and MAGA fascism has done in this country. And the United States of America is so much better than this crap. Just take a look at what Ted Cruz and Clarence Thomas were doing. This is the teaser. Here, play this clip.
Biography of Justice Clarence Thomas. It is entitled Going Further, the Incomparable Clarence Thomas. And Justice Thomas very kindly agreed to sit for 9.5 hours of one-on-one interviews with me over the past year.
So I have to tell you about this game-changing product I use before a night out with drinks. It's called pre-alcohol. You have to have pre-alcohol before you go out. I love getting together with friends on the weekend, but I also want to be up early the next morning with my family and ready to go. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered prebiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. I seriously could not go out without this. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct and not dehydration that's to blame for rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly and you will feel your best tomorrow. I gotta say, I was a little skeptical at first, but I tried it before meeting up with friends for dinner and drinks. The next morning, I was up early, making breakfast, hanging out with my kid, getting on with the day exactly how I wanted. That made me the ultimate believer. Mondays don't move for anyone. Pre-alcohol works overnight, so you could have a real weekend and still show up sharp. So do this for me. Go to zbiotics.com/Meidas and use code Meidas for 15% off your first order. That's zbiotics.com/Meidas, code Meidas for 15% off your first order. zbiotics.com/Meidas, code Meidas, MEIDAS.
And then I follow this as well. What were they saying on podcasts in Israel for the Netanyahu regime? One of Netanyahu's top advisors said, the Israeli diaspora affairs minister said, "What do we do with the Palestinians? Let's start by defining it as enemy, because the moment you don't know how to say that you have an enemy, you start confusing yourself. First of all, you have to understand what this thing called an enemy actually is." And then Netanyahu said on Iran, "I want to tell you, we still have challenges ahead of us. The challenge of Iran has not ended. We also have to finish the challenge in Gaza, in Lebanon, and in other arenas, and we are determined to do it." You mean the genocide for which you are a war criminal under the International Criminal Courts, to which the Trump regime, in order to help you, have sanctioned the president of the ICC, Tomoko Akani? And I just want you to hear those words from the Netanyahu regime as our farmers are suffering here in the United States, our manufacturers, all Americans are suffering. Gas prices are at record high. Diesel prices are at record high. People can't afford homes here. People have had their health care ripped away. American people are struggling right now all across the board here. We saw that in the inflation readout. We're getting into these never-ending wars because of Netanyahu's destruction in the area. It's sick. It's sick. And then the United States sanctioned the International Criminal Court's president, Tomoko Akani. I mean, this Trump regime is a sick group of people. This is what ICC President Tomoko Akani said on the U.S. sanctions against us. This is what she said this morning. "They will not change the way I approach my judicial duties, nor will I allow myself to be pressured by these threats. We will make every effort to ensure that the sanctions do not impair our work in the slightest. Justice will and should prevail." That's what you have to do to stand up to this despicable Trump regime. Going back to that weird Trump podcast appearance from earlier. So what was the Trump CIA Putin meeting all about? Although in Russia, they claim that Putin didn't even want to meet with CIA Director John Ratcliffe, and it was just Ratcliffe meeting with Russian intelligence. Donald Trump's like, well, I don't want to disappoint people, but it was just a pretty routine meeting. And then Donald Trump blabbers about whatever. He can't speak in actual sentences, so he just blabbers about whatever else is on his mind. But by the way, didn't you see a lot of people go after my reporting and they were like, Ben, no, Ratcliffe is going there to stand up to Putin. And he's going to tell Putin, we've got Ukraine's back, man. And Donald Trump is giving you a final warning, Putin. I'm like, what would lead you to believe that? Trump is a Putin bootlicker. He has always been a Putin bootlicker. And so what would make you think that the Trump regime is going to stand up to Putin? I'm like, it's the most ridiculous cosplay fantasy that you have in your mind that that's what the meeting was actually about. And it wasn't. It was Trump. It was a routine meeting, and it was probably to kiss Putin's ring. Here, play this clip right here.
Can you tell me why our CIA director flew in the middle of the night to meet with the Russians?
Well, none of the above. He's there on, very sort of semi-routine. I hate to disappoint people. We would like to see the war with Ukraine end. That's a war would have never started, Glenn, if I were president. That's one of the negatives of not having it done that way. I think this way has actually turned out to be bigger in many ways, but you wouldn't have had the war with Ukraine, and you wouldn't have had 25 million people coming into our country like they did, just come in like we were a bunch of fools. It was so sad. But they, 20, and I think the number's higher than 25, frankly, but they came in from prisons and they were drug dealers and they were murderers and everything.
Then Donald Trump goes on with how we've really dominated Iran right now. We're really showing them here. Let's play this clip.
B-2 bombers a little more than a year ago where we knocked out the nuclear to the present. We have really dominated, really, truly dominated.
Then Donald Trump lies and says, well, when he opens up his mouth, he's lying. We've got rid of their mines. We've demined the Strait of Hormuz, man. Everybody knows we control the Strait of Hormuz, man. I know that's the opposite of, I don't want to do a Trump impression with his voice. What do you mean we didn't demine the Strait of Hormuz? You need naval ships that do demining. Then they weren't in there. Just stop being so freaking dumb, man. Just stop. We didn't demine it. Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz. If we controlled it and there was so much crude coming out, then the price of oil would drop. It's supply and demand, man. Obviously, that's not what's taking place. There's a reason why we're at the salt caverns of our strategic petroleum reserves, tank bottom. It's because we've run out of crude because of you, because the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Just stop lying. Every stupid thing that you say is a freaking lie. It's just so dumb. So dumb to have the leader of the United States. Every word's a freaking lie. I mean, he's like us. He's actually a psychotic thing. Like we just have to raise a psycho. He's a psychotic thing in the Oval Office. It's ridiculous. Here, play this clip.
The mines are gone. You probably saw that. We put it out yesterday. All the mines. We got rid of the mines. But the strait, it's functioning. It's a functioning strait. Yes, every once in a while there'll be a drone or a rocket or something shot, but it is a very functioning strait. A lot of oil is pouring out. 10 million gallons, 10 million barrels yesterday. But as far
and then he says, I'm prohibiting the Sharia law thing. What do you mean you're prohibiting the Sharia law thing? What are you talking about? Again, this guy's just stupid. Don't freaking elect stupid, psychotic people who are bankrupters, who are sexual predators and losers their whole life. It's a freaking loser. Here, play this clip.
It's all about good politics. Is all about common sense anyway. But I would absolutely prohibit the Sharia law thing, and it is happening in this country a little bit. And where we see it, we take it out. And you have to take it out. You have one system. We have a great system.
And speaking about him being a sexual predator, this morning, the DOJ signaling it's going to appeal the Katie Fang lawsuit ruling, requiring removal of some of the redactions in the Epstein files, right? A federal judge ordered that they produce the Epstein files. They unredact some of the names in the Epstein files. And rather than just do it, just listen to the federal judge, just do it. What's the issue? There's a law. It's the Epstein Transparency Act. The judge told you to do it. What do they say? Appeal. We're going to appeal it. Why? Because they're covering up the Epstein class. They're covering up a group of people who are sick and disgusting. And while they torture you, while they make you suffer. This is what their behavior is. And then finally, you had Usha Vance, J.D. Vance's wife, going on a state regime media Fox morning podcast style show. And she's asked, what's the best advice you've given J.D.? And she's like, I just tell him, you need to go off social media. You're on social media too much. Here, play it.
I think that you also advise JD, our vice president at times. What's the best advice that you've ever given him, politically speaking?
I think the best advice was to take a little bit of a social media break.
Okay.
A piece of advice that I've been giving him since he encountered social media, because the constant flow of stuff is just so exhausting. And I think that, he did that for Lent. And I think it was a really enjoyable experience for him to kind of step back, to get information less constantly and just get it in bursts.
That's the Trump regime for you. Really despicable, disgusting, vile humans. And it's not in a political way, not in a, Republicans this, Democrats that, independent. No. Just awful humans. Awful humans. And you just have to recognize that these are bad people who want to do you harm. That's it. It's simple. These people are awful. And I'm just showing you the clips. This is what they're saying. I'm showing you what their words are. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million. Pre-order WTF America now if you can. It's the book I wrote with my brothers. It's available now for pre-order. It comes out October. We'll put a link in the description below. Thanks, everybody.
Before you go, our book, WTF America, is available for pre-order now. It's the story of how we got here and how we fight our way back. To pre-order, scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.